G'day guys, Josh from Dodgy Dailies, and today I'm going to be making a true rear end coilover setup by pulling apart a set of coilovers and making one coilover out of it. I've already done this side to make sure it's going to work, and it does. Needed to clearance here a bit, smashed it in with a hammer, and I had to add in some camber. So I'm probably going to have to look at swapping out the top perches for adjustable arms. I've seen them online, I know they're available. If not, I might end up just slapping in a set of the stock lower arms up top and making it work. But for now, I've got it all bolted in, got some camber into it, my wheel still fits, doesn't have any clearance issues with the wheel. I might need to bash out that tower a bit more if I need to, and see how it goes. I've already cracked all of these loose, taken away the preload so I can take off the top hat, and then we'll take that part off as well. You're gonna grab yourself a spanner and a shifter, crack your top nut, and take that off, and then take your top hat off. Now there's little spaces in here. Don't lose those. You're gonna need them for the next step, for the next when assembling. So for now, I'll just stick that all together. Keep them with the top hats. Done. So then we can take this. We can leave that. Leave the spring on because we will be using the front shock assembly in the rear. I tried doing it a few different ways, and I'll go through that in just a minute. I've got the front as pulled apart as it needs to be now, because you'll be reusing this, this, and this. This part I'm going to keep in the car. We'll take it with me to track days, because everyone knows on the Max speeding rod ones that these bits here do like to break, or these bits here will break off. So it'll be good to have a spare set of these, and a spare set of tops, in case they flog out too at the track. And I'll also have spare rear shocks at this point as well, and I'll just get that one apart now too. So those spaces I was talking about, so you got these ones here off the rear shock. They're different and they don't fit, on the front. Now I attempted to put the spring perch on the rear, but I wasn't happy with how it's seated, because it's obviously bigger and it has a lot of room there. If I really wanted to, I could machine a sleeve and have it on the rear shocks, but I honestly cannot be bothered with that, so I'll just keep that as a spare, just in case. So what we'll do is slip this one back on, slip this one up there, and put that back together. So you've got your rear one, the bottom one, sorry, it goes there. Now this is where these sleeves come in. That one now goes into your top. And now with both of those sleeves in the top bush, or in the strut top, that can now be slid onto the shock. So you've got to pull both sets apart, as in you've got to pull front apart and rear apart to make this work, and you use the front shock with the rear top, the front spaces, keep the rear ones obviously, so then you can reuse that front, and then you can reuse that front nut as well. I do need to it's really hard to do this one-handed, so just give me a sec. We're resetting the preload. I'll normally just spin the lower spring perch until I can't turn it by hand anymore. So once my hand starts slipping on that perch is usually enough, and then I just tighten up that lock and collar. It's the way I've done it for a long time, and it's so far it's not let me down. I know there is other ways, and probably better ways of doing it, but that's just the way I've been doing it for a while. And if I need to, I can adjust it later on the car. For the meantime, just to keep it all together, I just fit the strut top, the front strut top to the rear shock, put that on there, and that way I just keep it all together, keep all the spare parts as one, and it makes it easier for taking them places as well if I have to. What I'll do now is I'll thread this, lower shock rear section, rear shock lower section to the front shock assembly, and I'll just send it to its lowest setting and go from there. That's now tight all the way up, and then I'll just spin this one down. It might look like it's going to sit quite tall, but in reality it doesn't, and it allows for a slightly more travel, so I'll tighten that up in a sec. But I chucked on one of my stylistic 6s before just to see how it all fit together, and the rubber, like the lip of the rim, was in the guard. I've had to add in quite a lot of camber to make this work properly. But as you can see, I've made this one work. So we'll go chuck the one I just built for you on the other side. So the first thing you want to do is you want to rip out your rear shock and the spring, which on the e36 is 18mm and a 13mm. And before you'll come at me, I've got reinforcement plates, but I do plan on getting the Kaz Engineering rear strut brace. It's like $130 or something like that. It's maybe $150. I'll have to double check that price later. But I know he does quality work, so quality work plus a cheap part, you can't go wrong. And it'll just be extra reinsurance that I'm not going to send a strut tower through the boot. But for now, I'm just going to jack this up and rip out my old max speeding rod coilovers. Just for me, I've loosened off the toe arms to make everything nice and movable, and because I've increased the camber as well, so I can move that out. So what I'll do now is adjust that camber out so I can get that shock bolt in. So now I've got I'm pointing at the wrong thing there, that bottom bolt tight. I've got the tops tight, still a little bit of clearancing to do in here, but that can wait for another day. I've still got to put the exhaust on and a couple other things so I can drive it. I'm not really happy about how close that is to the fuel filler, but it's also not overly close, like not close enough to be a concern. But I might have to make up some sort of shield to go there, maybe, I don't know, probably not. I might think about a fuel cell at some point. So yeah, that's just a quick tutorial on how to build your own true coilover rear end out of one set of coilovers. Hope you enjoyed. Catch you next time. Hit to like, subscribe and share on all platforms. We've pretty much got something on everything. Catch ya.